Okay, now it is true that it is all programming, but what we want to do is to evolve the programs. We want to create new ideas, new concepts, which will become new programs. But again, we must continue to evolve these programs. These rituals, otherwise, stagnation sets in and we suffocate the vehicle, the body. As we also limit the expansion, and that word is very important, expansion of our consciousness. I choose my words very carefully because I don't do good or bad. I'm all about evolving something so that I'm not discarding the experience and what has been brought from the experience, because we tend to do that. Just get rid of that. What did I get from it? Because if you don't know what you got from it, then it will have been in vain. And everything you've done, once again, is bringing you to the next level, the next moment. And so we're talking about limiting the expansion of our consciousness. And now I want to take a look at the word consciousness. Okay, in the scene from Men in Black, the universe, I don't know if you remember the scene, is in the locker. Do you remember that? Where they did that? I thought it was really neat, where they thought that was their whole world, was in the locker. That would be us. Our universe might be on top of a pinhead. How do we know that? It's probably on top of the pinhead of some other expanded being. Some other being that is way more expansive than we could ever imagine. And they do exist. They do exist. And that's what you should be trying to figure out how to do. How do I become a more expansive creator? We don't look at that. You know where we stop? We stop at, many of you in the room probably don't stop at that, but we stop at, we're going to ascend and have a good time. What does that mean? What does that mean? That sounds boring. We're just gonna ascend and we're gonna have a good time. No, you are a creator. You're gonna have a good time creating, but you have to remember that. You have to allow yourself. You have to allow yourself that. You have to know that you are worthy of that, of being that expansive, that you can create worlds. You created this one. You have to remember that. You are source. You are that substance that you keep looking for in a diminished form. Very important to keep in mind. It's a dog trying to bite its tail. So we're looking at everybody and everything else outside of us, hoping that, that person or that being is going to come and, they're going to save us. And I throw out the Messiah trip. Yes, I do. I do. I'm not looking for a Messiah. I am my Messiah. I am. And you have to start thinking like that. You are. You are equal to every one of those beings that have tried to allow you the experience of limitation in the game. They don't want you to know that I'm going to use the word God. They don't want you to know that, because that's what's been done. They've played around with this reality. Yes, they played around with this reality. You go to the Egypt and all these other places, and you see the hieroglyphs, and we get all excited about those things, and you see that there had to be other beings here. They came, they passed themselves off as gods, and anyway, that's a whole other lecture, a whole other story. But the bottom line of it is that you have to come into that space, and whatever you want to call it, God, source, whatever, you are that source. You are that massive ocean that represents source, that void, and you're that drop out of the ocean. That still is the ocean. And we have to break it down to simple terms. We don't need all that fluffy craziness. Well, maybe you do. I don't. I just want to get right to the heart of it. I don't want all that. I want to see this. I want to know, because life kicks ass, and it's harder when the less you know, the harder it is. And sometimes it does kick your ass anyway. The more you know, the more it does kind of because you can't, you have to try to now operate in the matrix without operating in the matrix. And so you're learning how to do that. You're having to learn how to be invisible to the system, and so there's a whole other thing you're learning. This is what we call magic, but this magic is science, and what we're learning is science. We're learning that everything is based on science. So I'm all about taking the lid off the fluffy stuff, and if that makes you feel good, and that's what you want to do, fine. That means you're not ready to. You're not big enough yet. You don't think you're old enough to go ahead and claim your birthright and just be. You're not ready. You still want somebody else to work that out for you and to make your decisions for you. I don't want to do that. I came into this planet knowing I didn't want to do that. I want to play with the big boys. I want to play, be a bigger aspect of the game. So anyway, yes, and I was talking to my I would bring up my kids all the time, because I always say I love my kids. My kids and I are good friends. They're my buddies, and they're my boys, and they're on top of this stuff. And I said to my younger son Tristan, and a couple of days ago, and he says, "Well, Mom, what are you going to talk about?" And I told him. He goes, "Yeah, that's pretty good." I say, "Yeah, you got the weird mom." He goes, "I wouldn't have it any other way. We're so glad you're weird." Oh my gosh. But anyway, so the word expanded, I use the word expanded because that's really important. Because when I say expanded, expanded is saying you're just becoming larger into who you are, not I'm just not better, just more expansive. And so it's really important when we choose our words, how we say it, what we say. Okay, so expanded, as I say, is an important word. Yes, we are all conscious beings, because we hear that. Yes, we are all conscious beings. Everything is consciousness, and consciousness is simply being self-aware. Very important that we understand it, because we use that word loosely. When we talk about consciousness, or who's more conscious and who's not more conscious, and all of that. Consciousness is really self-awareness. It's different levels of self-awareness, different levels of being aware of who you are as a creator. That's basically what it is. So you are evolving and expanding into greater levels of consciousness of who you are and what you could possibly be. But you're doing it